Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm back. Tanya Souls, HR consultant and problem solver for so many businesses who are just frustrated. So let's dive into episode 2 of the Employer Frustration Files. Have you ever had those experiences where you are so frustrated with business problems? People aren't doing what you want them to do. Things are getting forgotten. There's different things happening. Did you ever think that maybe those business problems you're facing are actually people problems? And what if I told you that it's not actually people problems? It's employee experience problems. It's what we're doing in the business that we're putting out fires, we're trying to fix things, is actually making the problems worse. So let me ask you, drop in the comments, does this sound familiar? I can't find good people. You're struggling to find those perfect candidates that for your open positions that meet all of your expectations. Have you looked at what your hiring process actually looks like? Have you looked at the experience applicants have from start to finish? Is it really clear what the process is? Is it, excuse me, respecting their time and energy? Or is it you want them to perform before you'll actually engage? So when you're talking about, I can't find good people, the first place to start, look at your job postings. Make sure it's not about what the company, or not only about what the company needs from the candidate, but it's actually really clear and compelling. It shows what's in it for the candidate to come to work for your company. It's about making sure that you're being respectful as they're engaging with your job posting or asking questions, that you're actually communicating in a timely manner and aren't making them wait a week or two to know what's next. And really think about your interview questions. Be really intentional to communicate your company culture, to really highlight the impact that the role has on the company. Whether it's for a janitor or a CEO, you've got to find ways to really make the role make sense and be attractive and fulfill the needs of the candidate. So let's just say you've done all of that and you've got a perfect person that's starting tomorrow. Why don't they stick around once they've been there? What does your onboarding process look like? Is it just filling out the paperwork? Is it just getting them connected to the computer systems and making sure all of the parts and pieces are there? If your onboarding process doesn't include some structure and check-in points and sharing the history of the company, sharing the connections, creating opportunities to connect the new employee to your workplace, you will continue to have people leave. The new hires won't stick around. I really like onboarding processes that, yes, the first week are more intense, but actually there's structure that goes for 6 months. 90 days is a base minimum. But data shows Your people are going to decide whether to stay or go with your company within the first 6 months. If they know they're having some more opportunities to connect with senior leaders, to get additional training, to have a mentor, to have these touch points that say, we really want to invest in you because we want you to be here. You have to create your onboarding process so the employee can have some success along the way with support. Get those early wins, which boosts their confidence and their willingness to engage. You really have to take the time in the onboarding process to connect not only the new hire to your team, but also to the purpose. What are we doing as an organization? What is the greater good? Is it creating the widget that's going to solve somebody's problem? Is it making the community a better place? So when new hires don't stick, look at your onboarding process. Accountability. Why don't people take responsibility for their actions? Why won't they take accountability? Why aren't they following through? All of these things oftentimes lead back to employees don't know what's going on. They don't know that they're supposed to. Or this is happening more and more these days. This week they're told they are, next week they're told they're not, and they're just confused. It's inconsistent on who's doing what or who's responsible for which process or the final results. So it's really important. Communication and employee experience is a thread from start to finish. You have to make sure your communication is really clear, that roles are defined so people do understand who's doing what, who to ask questions to, who should be following this to the end. But even more important, your team needs to know what success looks like. It needs to be part of the conversation when tasks are delegated. What is that final result? And I have talked about this on more occasions, and I continue to shout it from the rooftops. Annual reviews are not effective. If you want accountability that actually has impact, consistent check-ins. For your newer employees, that might be daily until they get into a role. But it definitely weekly check-ins between your employees and team leads or supervisors, those have to be happening. And you excuse me. And you've got to be providing feedback. If something's not meeting your expectations, you need to share that. If something is amazing and they knocked it out of the park, you need to share that too, because you need to reinforce what you want to see. So if your team is lacking accountability, look at the clarity or look at the feedback. Is there mechanisms or strategies to have a continuous feedback, not only for your employees, but for you? Do your employees feel like they can speak up when they don't understand? Or are they worried that if they say something, they will be looked down on? So, along with accountability, I hear a lot of employers frustrated because their employees don't take initiative. They saw the problem, they could fix the problem, but they didn't do anything about the problem. And more times than not, that's directly connected to psychological safety. Your employees don't feel safe taking initiative because If they do, are they gonna get in trouble? If they do, is somebody gonna get mad because they stepped out of their lane? Or they don't feel like they're empowered to make the change. It's like the Ritz Carlton actually allows their front desk staff to use, I think it's up to like 2 or $3,000 of solutions when a guest is having a bad experience. Are your employees empowered to suggest a different solution? Are they empowered to make decisions without having to go through bureaucracy? And when your employees do take initiative, are you recognizing the effort? Are you recognizing they went above and beyond? Are you recognizing they came up with a unique solution? It's really important that when your employees are doing something that you are glad they solved a problem before it became a huge issue for your customers. They got a great result, but did you recognize the effort that they put in to do it? Because that's one of the biggest things. If you're not recognizing the effort, they don't know to duplicate it in the future. So think about your employee experience and how safe do they feel going above and beyond? How safe do they feel to maybe question what's happening? I'm listening to the Fearless Organization, um, which is by Amy, and I just lost her last name in my brain, but she is one of the gurus when it comes to psychological safety. And talking and the stories in there from all across the decades, from the 70s to the 2010s, and everything in between across industries, whether it's hospital, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's governmental, over and over and over again, the examples of people not speaking up because they weren't allowed that actually ended in tragedy. So think about, if no one's taking initiative, are you investing in the psychological safety in your organization that's going to encourage them to do it? I have I have so many stories of my clients that we're always putting out fires. We are always from one emergency to the next. And most of the time, I mentioned a few minutes ago, communication is one of the biggest things that is broken in employee experience, but it's also your systems. It's things are not clear on who needs to be doing what and when, and nobody's talking to each other to communicate what needs to be done. Or this happens a lot in companies, is there is the company historians who have all of the knowledge about the secret widget that if you move it this way, everything else will work right, but they don't share it. And so it becomes tribal knowledge, for a lack of a better term, in that only certain people know the super secrets. And when other people have to go down that pathway, they stumble. So when you're talking your employee experience, really think about, as leaders, your reactions, but also how you're communicating and the structures that you're using. Is it clear? Are the workflows Or does everybody have access to the information they need? And is it easy to communicate so someone can give you a heads up before a fire starts? Along those same lines, when your employees are in the quiet quitting, just taking up space, coming to work because it's a transaction, they don't feel like they're connected or really engaged with the organization. So, what do you do when that happens? You have to think about how you connect what you're doing to impact. What impact does the work have on your customers, on your team, on the community? What impact, so that one of the key drivers in employee engagement is employees want to know they're working for the greater good. Now, the greater good for some organizations, it's the community, it's the world, it's health. But for some organizations, it's creating a better device. It's providing better service, making life easier for customers. That's greater good too. And so it's really important within your organization that you take the time to talk about the impact that you're having. Whether it's, and this is one of my examples I use often, when you're talking about a custodian cleaning your office, yes, they're cleaning the office, but they're also creating the first impression for your customers. They're also keeping your employees safe and healthy because they're cleaning the office. You have to talk about those pieces often. You have to share that. You have to involve employees in having those conversations. Drop in the comments. When was the last time you talked about the impact versus the transaction? We know the work that has to get done. We know the task that has to be done. But if you talked about why, Simon Sinek, start with why. Why is it important? Why do we do things this way? How does it make a difference? So really recognize your employees, involve them in the process, but recognize the contributions that they're making. Employee experience, we got to do recognition. We got to do recognition in a way that recognizes going above and beyond, that recognizes all of the different pieces along the way. So, employee experience, it doesn't just apply to your entry-level employees or your mid-level employees. You've got to think about your managers. I talk about this all of the time in trainings. When someone is promoted from being really good at their job to a supervisor position, they're most times not given any training or any education on leading people, managing people. So they get promoted because they're really good at their job, but they don't have the people skills yet. Think about, for your managers to lead and help with employee experience, giving them some leadership training, giving them, here's what check-ins look like. Here's the expectations, making it really clear that yes, the results are important, but you've also got to be giving good feedback. You've got to be getting good feedback. And our leaders need coaching too. Our leaders need coaching, whether it's from someone within the organization, whether it's outside of the organization. Our leaders need the have you tried when they have a frustration. They need that coaching and their own check ins. Leaders deliver check ins, but they also need them with their leaders to give that ongoing support. It's really, really important. And too many times, because we're busy, because things are happening, because we're putting out fires, things like check ins get pushed. Things like check ins should never get pushed. They need to be top priority always. I hear this out in the community all of the time. Drop in the comments if you've heard an employee give their notice because they got a job for more money, that they got a job that pays them a little bit or a lot more. But guess what? The majority of those people who are leaving for more money aren't leaving for more money. They're leaving for a better employee experience. They're leaving for those big employee engagement drivers, things like growth opportunities. Now, I work with a lot of small businesses, and they're like, but we don't have growth. You do have growth. You have growth in learning more skills. You have growth in improving the skills they have, stretching in job areas. Maybe there isn't a promotional path. I work with a manufacturing company, and they've got a bunch of people who are welders. Well, welders are welders. You can kind of become a team lead. There is a little bit of advancement, but when you're a large company, there's some, but ultimately welders tend to be welders for a long time. But we talked about it. Have they gotten coaching and improved their skills over the years? Absolutely. Have they learned to weld with different materials? Absolutely. Those are all growth opportunities. Finding that professional development, whether it's a trade, whether it's a skill, whether it's a certification, whether it's continuing education, that's key to keep your people. They want to have the opportunity to learn. Another key driver in employee engagement and employee experience is flexibility. If you're not creating the opportunity for flexibility, you need to find it. Flexibility is going to look different in every organization. What's possible in some, hybrid work works great in some organizations because of what they're doing. They can do that. Some brick and mortar locations, you can't. You've got to be on site. But can you flex time a little bit? Can you flex here or there? Find the flexibility. Every organization can offer some flexibility, whether it's days off, whether it's start times, end times, whether it's lunch times, whatever. Find the flexibility for your organization and encourage employees to use it. But most importantly, when your people are leaving for more money, when was the last time they felt like they were heard? When was the last time they felt like they were valued? This goes back to check-ins and recognition. Checking in with your people and listening. And sometimes you can't do anything about what they're sharing. You just can't. But you need to listen and tell them that. And tell them what you can do. Tell them what might be possible. Or ask them to help think of a solution. But an employee experience, probably the biggest piece is your employees have to feel like they're valued. And in the olden days, I like to say, people in business really had well, my employees have to prove themselves before I'm going to invest in them. In today's world, if you don't start investing in your employees in the hiring process, you will not get them to come to work for you. And you will not keep them once they're there. You have to start investing and continue investing in your employees with time, with resources, so that they feel like they are valued and they are more than a number. Because if your company doesn't create a culture that does that, they're going to find one that does. And I've talked about this already, but communication. Be intentional with communication. Have regular team check ins, whether they're huddles every morning or weekly update meetings. It needs to be a standard cadence so employees know they have this opportunity. You need to set clear expectations for communication. You want everybody to communicate. You want everybody to talk about what is needed. The start of every employee experience is communication. You have to train your leaders. You have to train your supervisors, your team leads, your managers, your directors, how to communicate, what's expected, and really teach them it's not about talking to or talking at, it's talking with. So, employee experience is something that I didn't even really separate it, but it's something that we really need to think about. I was at a career fair yesterday with Rogue Valley SHRM, and one of our questions was, how much time do you think an HR department should be spending on employee experience? And more than half the time, data shows, is what HR people should be spending on employee experience. Well, what happens when you don't have an HR person? That means you really have to put the time in as a leader to work on hiring, your hiring process, your onboarding process. You have to make sure that it's a continuous good culture experience so that from hiring to sticking around for 25 years, it's one continuous positive experience, even when it gets hard. So I challenge you today, think about one area where your employee experience is a little bumpy and put that as your priority to make better. Think about what you can do in your hiring process. Is your communication not great? Let's improve it. And I would love to connect with you and talk about how I can support you. I have tools and resources and ideas, whether you're a company of 5 or you're a company of 500. Let's look at how to make a difference in our employee experience so that we lower our frustration and improve our engagement, which will ultimately improve our profitability. So join me next time for another episode of Employer Frustration Files.